I'd prefer to be over strong than weak.
Right.
No, then you can actually get the taste.
100%.
But
you can always water it down if it's like.
yeah, if it's too bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you basically made yourself espresso.
But what the nice thing is this dark, but you're not gonna. It's not acidic. Like it feels great.
No.
But anyway, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
We finally did it. We've been trying to. we have been trying to make this happen.
The stars finally aligned
For months. I mean, when did we first meet in that coffee shop?
Oh shoot, that was like 6-8 months ago. Now, I was not of interest for your podcast because I know you have a certain caliber of person you'd like to have here.
You weren't.
Bottom of the barrel now. You're like,
Yeah,
no.
You finally made it on my book.
You've been busy, and we just have been playing phone tag a good bit because you invited me a couple weeks ago. I was like, I'm in Milwaukee, and then you decided to cut your toe off. So
yeah, I don't think I told the podcast about that yet.
Yeah,
but it
was
was
4 toes.
I literally cut the toe off. No, it's kidding. That was painful.
Yeah, I can imagine. All I know is my brother-in-law had to be on crutches when he got one removed. He didn't get his toe removed, toenail, but no, I would assume it hurts. I've not experienced it.
I had to get a toenail removed and my big toe on my right side because 8 years ago, one of my friends sat on it with a corner of a chair in Los Arcos in Lincoln Park when I was wearing flip-flops. So it damaged everything. Then it got infected, and then it's just been this 6 years of just.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's been great. Super grateful for that scenario. So anyway, then ingrown nail, like 2 centimeters deep, cracking my toe in half. So whenever I'd cut playing basketball, I would just like get crippled in pain. And eventually,
it took you about 6 years to say no more.
Well, it took me about a year of toe pain because it's only been about a year that it's actually been hurting. I hate doctors, dude. I'm like, it'll be fine. Like, I'll figure it out. So I'd like pry it up and like soak it in water. Oh!
Why is the retention like 30 seconds on this?
People are like, I was interested in YouTube, but this is.
You said this guy talks about YouTube, and you're like, when my toe is in half, I just cranked that bad boy
I need to
up.
tell you guys about my pain.
Right. It's a weird cut at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah, we can honestly start the podcast now. We should honestly just be like,
welcome back.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Oh, Dillon, thanks. This is my first time we've talked about nothing.
I'm sorry, everybody, that you had to hear that. There's more to that story. I'll tell you more later. I actually have a comedic sketch I'm working on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's something new. I'm working on.
Are you doing comedy?
Yeah, I'm working on.
Like stand-up? Legit?
Yeah,
okay,
legit.
I'm super into that.
Yeah,
I'm not
100%.
funny, but I am interested in funny people.
Yeah, so my whole life I've wanted to be a comedian. My whole life. Like, since I've been
Am I on a joke right now? Are you playing with me?
No. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
Are you doing a joke right now?
You can actually ask my parents. As a kid, I was like, I want to be a comedian.
Yeah.
I just said comedian. I didn't
go.
know how to spell or say phonetics.
That should be your name. Comedian.
Comedian Dillon.
Comedian Dillon. There you go. I just branded you. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Well, that's what you do.
That's legitimately what I do.
So no, I'm working on a couple of jokes, and I'm working on a whole series of like being a dad and what it's like to be a dad.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
oh
so
yeah.
I have. Anyway, when I was getting my nail ripped off of my toe, I because I'm a dad now. As a dad.
Yep.
There's something that happens, and it's that you involuntarily say dad jokes.
Yes.
And you don't mean to.
Nope.
They just happen.
Yep.
Like, you're just like, I don't know why I said that. I'm very sorry. Like, I'm very sorry you had to hear me say that, but I just said that.
Yes.
So I'm sitting there, getting as my nail is getting ripped off of my body after the numbing, and the doctor, by the way, had the audacity to say, man, this nail is really tough coming off. I'm in immense pain. And you know what comes out of my mouth?
I love this already.
Sorry, doc, but we've grown really attached.
That's
In
good.
the moment, I said
fantastic.
it. And then I was on a roll, bro. I was on a roll.
You just kept going.
I kept going. The whole time I kept going. I was checking out.
It probably got you through it.
I do cope with humor.
Yeah.
I was checking out, and she said that would be $300. I was like, oh, man, such a ripoff. And she's like, we'd like you to review our services. I say, honestly, you guys nailed it.
Nailed it. You should go on Google and write that very review, and it's only toe puns.
So anyway, I have a little comedic sketch about. I think that's pretty funny.
It is.
That's pretty funny.
I'm not giving you fake laughs.
Thank you.
That is very.
Yeah,
funny.
I have some adoption.
I
jokes.
also just was thinking, when you mentioned that doctor saying that the worst time, it's like, what is the worst thing you could probably tell me right now? Is that this is being difficult?
Yeah, you could actually not tell me that.
Right, and I had a situation with my wife where she's giving birth to our third, and the epidural was egregiously late, and not to be TMI. Let's just say we were at this thing's getting out of here. in a short amount of time, and she's feeling it all, and that's the whole point of the epidural is that you don't feel
that's
it,
the whole
right?
That's the whole concept.
This schmuck comes in. Okay. Bro, okay, listen, I love you, Candy, but I'm revealing some secrets. And she's in mid-exerting or amplifying that she's in pain,
Right,
okay?
right.
She's screaming, okay? Doctor comes in, mid-yell, how you doing today? What do you mean? Like, bro, like, I get it that doctors, you come in, you got, hey, how you doing today? Oh, doc, I'm not feeling so good. Like, she's literally going, ah! And the doctor's like, how you doing today? I'm like, well, what do you think, doc? You're here about 2 hours late. She's about to shoot a baby out. How do you think we're doing? She doesn't answer. So he's like, I'll come back at a better time. Like, no, the time is now, doc. It's now. It's like, so we get the epidural. It didn't matter because Roan came on out about 30 seconds later. And so we just had noodle legs until we could get to our recovery room. And I was like, are you just so novice in your job that you couldn't think of something better to say, like, hey, yeah, we're a little behind, I'm really sorry about that. The first thing you were like, hey, she's screaming. I wonder how she's doing. I was like, all you do, bro, is meet screaming, bleeding women.
Well, it's 2 plus 2. It's just like, oh, you're screaming, you're probably not doing great.
Right. And it just, so we left a review, like, hey, you just have the most socially unaware anesthesiologist
This is
I've
probably
ever met
this
in my
poor
life.
doctor somewhere. He's just like, I was just trying to be nice.
Yeah, well, I did not leave a good review. And, you know, I told them we should have to pay for that epidural. And they wrote me a handwritten note, but basically was like, you're still paying for it. But we're sorry. We're going to do better. I was like, no, you're not.
Yeah, it's like, don't lie to me.
You won't. Like, I had the nurse apologizing to me, so I know I'm not.
That's a great story.
It's a true story.
Yeah, we had a lovely birth story. But
are you saying that sarcastically?
No. I'm like, well, I honestly, it was great. Anna ended up not doing an epidural, so she just did the.
Hey, good
she
for
just
her.
did the thing, and we went to U of M, midwifery clinic, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
they're freaking great.
I've done 3 different hospitals, so I've been able to rate experiences. Yeah. It makes a difference because we were in New York, which is you would think would be advanced technology, but New York's like a decade behind.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't think that, believe it or not. For
and
some reason.
we love her, but the chick that delivered our first, literally had nails done up, and she had a bedazzled scrub. Like that was
in New York.
Yep, Staten Island, baby. And that.
Oh
just
yeah,
quality people.
Yeah, well,
now, listen, super nice. They're all in, but it was bedazzled scrub with the bedazzled New York Yankees logo with full cat claw nails. That's experience 1. Experience 2 was Greenville, South Carolina, and it was like a cloud. Also our worst child. Love him, but he's just a challenge, as stubborn as I am. And then the third one was the just socially unaware, why not eat?
That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're 4th.
No, there's no 4th.
So your 4th is U of M. Hypothetically speaking, though.
Hypothetically. Actually, we like to go to different states.
Yeah, I will give a shout out to U of M. They were amazing. And
we have to move, and we have another one. That's kind of the demo.
Is that the thing? Yeah, you got to keep new state. Yeah, correct.
Do different states. So.
Yeah. I had a New York joke, but then I would get political. But
right.
Yeah.
Actually, Staten Island's very conservative.
Are they?
So.
No, I was just gonna say.
I'm forcing it out of you.
I
like that I'm helping you become comedian.
You just said that it wasn't really a joke. It's just more of a political statement. But you just said that New York wasn't very. They were very behind, and I was like, yeah, because they're giving all their money to immigrants.
Right.
But
well.
That's see, I told you it was gonna be good. It's gonna be a good joke. That's
I can't wait to watch the retention chart.
Oh no, this is gonna be great.
Right. Bounce up though.
Oh yeah, it'll be bounce up. It's like immigration.
I actually view all content that I work on and do stuff like this. I'm not even being funny. I view retention charts in my brain and what will happen with audience.
I do the same thing, and what I do more of is if someone says something, I'm like, that's gonna be a great short. I'll be like, that is such a great clip, and I'll ask a killer question, and it'll be like, I'm like, this is a great question, you better perform, and I'm thinking in the back of my mind, please have a good answer, and they just don't answer the question, or they start, and I'm like, yes, and then they rabbit trail, I'm like, no,
and you can't, you try, it's like chucking the bird out of the nest, right?
Yeah.
You hope they fly, and then sometimes you're like, well.
Yeah, that's actually a good segue into what you do.
Yes,
it's a good segue. Look at that, man.
Look, that's smooth.
I know.
Comedian. Professional podcaster.
I mean, yeah, professional. 800
I'm just gassing
subscribers.
you up. Do you like the love that's happening on
I
this?
don't know how to take it.
Right,
I don't do compliments very
Just
well.
receive it. You say, I am awesome.
I'm not.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah.
So.
Every day in the mirror. I'm like, I am fat.
What's that in Friends where he's like, you are a neat guy? Have you seen that, Bruce
yeah.
Willis? Okay, there'll be some Friends quotes that comes out during this podcast.
Big Friends?
Yeah, I was literally just
More
on
coffee?
the set the other day when I was at Warner Brothers, and I sat on the couch and I was in the studio. And since I actually work with them, I got to like actually go behind and like touch things.
That's awesome.
So like
dude.
when I watch it now, I'm like, that cappuccino machine, I've touched it. Yeah, it's awesome. And it's totally irrelevant, but it's the legit set.
You haven't even washed your hands since. Like
no, I don't wash my hands anymore because of what I've touched.
Right.
That's terrible. Don't call it that. But no, it is cool
great.
to sit there and be like, that's where I shot.
Yeah, I like Friends. We also watched New Girl, and it's basically like
I've not watched New Girl.
New Girl is like the 2000s Friends.
Friends.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I just love it because it's just that art of storytelling is lost. There's some haters out there, but I always just think about like I'm a big guy in like storytelling in general, part of my job. But like the show just takes very basic living. Like you realize it's not shot in a terrible amount of scenes at different locations. Like it's primarily coffee shop, apartment, then every now and then here and there. But the way they're able to create a new story every single time. There's some episodes that take solely in our apartment. I'm like, that's a skill that's lost in our modern media. And I really believe that. Like, we're very much like, we have to make it very epic or very CGI. It's all over the place.
Well, look at Marvel. I mean, Marvel's...
Right.
Well, look at how Marvel started versus where Marvel's at.
Right.
You
watch Iron Man 1 and now...
Yeah. Even Captain America. We just watched... We were actually re-going through the Marvel... We don't believe in Marvel after Endgame. So, but before Endgame, we're all in. And
right.
So,
they ended there.
Yeah. And so... but even then, they got very...
Iron Man No Way Home was good.
It is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple. We like Loki. I like Loki.
Loki's good.
Like, but Loki's
Season 2
actually a
was
really
great.
good example of like storytelling versus like massive.
Exactly.
There's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of like figure piecing things together.
Right.
And so like anyway, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
What I want to get into first, is who is this guy?
Hi.
Who are you? Yeah. I'm like, dude, this is great. So you, I'm gonna try not to butcher your resume.
Listen, my kids don't even know what I do. My wife doesn't know what I do, so I get it.
So you used to work with a company that you help manage YouTube channel brands. You work with companies that have, whether it's, can I say some of your clients or like, whether
absolutely.
it's like, NBC was one, for example, and then like trying to get their content out on YouTube and figuring out that strategy. Is that?
Yep, 100%.
Yep. Yes.
Nailed it.
So, and then you recently have decided to move and start your own thing in some capacity, which is why you're even more fit on the show, because now you're actually jumping into entrepreneurship.
Actually, you were one of the people that encouraged me.
I was
and that is a legitimate story. We had this conversation about 6, 8 months. You're like, you ever thought about doing your own? I was like, no shot, bro. 8 months later, I'm like, I've taken the leap, baby.
I'm proud of you,
like
dude.
I
I'm proud
texted
of
you.
you.
I said, I'm leaving. I'm done.
So if everything goes to poop, it is my fault.
Still, it's fault.
Okay, that's fine.
I think it'll work out.
No, I think after talking to you, you have been in the industry for a while. You've done very well in the industry. You've kind of shot up the corporate ladder, so to speak. And now it's like, what's next? And I think that was the question you were always asking. It's like, I don't know. I feel like there's a ceiling here.
Right. Yep.
There's not a ceiling here.
Right.
And obviously, being an entrepreneur myself, it's like, look, the floor is also way lower here.
Right.
But the ceiling is also way higher. So honestly, I think today I'm just really excited to learn about being a podcast creator myself. I'm excited for us to talk about like YouTube.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about whatever you want. We can talk about what your aspirations are, what you're doing, whatever you want to do. So I think where the first question I have is, what makes a YouTube channel special? Yeah. And then we see all the time, I'm going to start a YouTube channel.
Right. And
then it falls apart.
Yep.
Like, what's the differentiate factor for those that have made it in your experience? Even brands of like, whatever. What's
100%.
If you could we could start there and then.
Yeah. So I was doing some quick math while I was driving in for this podcast. I was like, why am I talking about YouTube? Because there's bigger names out there who've gained a lot more traction than I have. Although I will say, like, I'm starting to get there. Not that it's a popularity thing, but like, it's becoming known that like I do have a general idea of how things work. And the reason is I was just doing rough math for the last 2 years. In the last 2 years alone, I'm not even playing, with over about 3.5 billion views across the channels I've worked on. Now, I'll acknowledge that like, NBC, AGT alone, it's about 1.2. But with Warner Brothers across the different channels was 1.3 billion. And then there's a lot of other. So all I'm saying is there's a lot of data to speak to the things I'm saying, in case you're wondering, like, why I listen to him. Because I'm a big believer that there's a lot of people who say they know what they're doing, and they're just not. actually able to do. So you go back to the question of starting a YouTube channel, what makes it work, what makes it doesn't. So this is going to be a cookie cutter because it is true. You have to keep doing it. If you stop, you're probably not, like, you will not see virality immediately. Some people do get lucky. Most people who succeed, it took time, right? Mr. Beast's first Minecraft videos, right? NBC wasn't even over 1 million subscribers when I joined their venture. NBC, let me just repeat that, was not over 1 million subscribers. So it's not even just recognition of name. It's how you're going about it and how consistently you're doing it. And then I know I'll acknowledge what a lot of people don't realize is when more successful people start new YouTube channels and it feels like that they got ahead of, say, maybe where you're at right now, and that's not a slight, is there is some paid media behind the scenes. There's a little bit more of an aggressive distribution. But what makes a successful YouTube channel, truly, is you're just got to keep doing it. You're going to have to refine it. And then this is where I get in the weeds is you also have to consider the actual market viability of how much viewership is really there to be gained and what is your competition. Because the challenge of, for example, I have dabbled in movie reviews and reactions. And I actually saw, I told you, I had one video that went viral, 500,000 views, monetized like that. But the reality of that is you kind of need that to happen because there's a great amount of competition there. Yeah. Now, if you stand the test of time, you will see, I really believe this, that if you stand the test of time, and I'll get to the next layer here, and you're consistent, you have a chance to actually make it. The second element, which I've written on LinkedIn, is you can consistently suck at something. Mm-hmm. Right? We've all had that guy at basketball, bless his heart. It shows up every time, and he blows every time. Because he's not actually actively doing. Now, in reality is if you play more, you'll probably get a little bit better. But if you're not intentional about what you're trying to get better at, you can do 100 reps of something very poorly. Same with working out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
People are like, I hit the gym every day. And then you go see what they're doing. I'm like, well, you're on the treadmill for 30 minutes and you're curling backwards. You're not getting better.
Right.
So same with YouTube. So I've worked with brands and I've worked with creators. Okay, so I've worked with the whole gambit. NBC, guy who does fart videos, right? I've seen it all. And the differentiator is it's consistency, but also like, are you intentionally improving every step of the way? And if you can't say what you're improving, you're not improving. That's just the truth. Because I say, we're trying to get better every video. How? Oh, well, we're higher quality, different little edit. I'm like, no. That's all ambiguous. Very hyper-focused on what it is, incrementally, over time. And I just promise you, the truth of consistency versus valuable consistency is valuable inputs will lead to a better result. Consistently outputting doesn't mean you've gotten better. And there's a lot of people who work hard. Like, you got guys who work shift work, 12 hours a day. You got people who are, I'm always posted on Instagram. But there's no thought about where it's going, why you're doing it. Like, that perseverance has no tangible, actual improvement. It's typically where it falls apart. So that's why, for me, before you go, because everyone says niche. Everyone says, it's going to be awesome. Well, yeah. It's doing it and then improving it. And then you do have to factor in, like, what are you actually, like, what market are you playing in, right? But I've seen everything. Like, I have a guy who's making $30K a month on farting. That's it. Okay? I have other clients who bake bread and do 3-hour bread tutorials making $100K a month. Okay, so it's not that, and by the way, those 3-hour videos are, like, for me, it's boring because it's just quality. They've done it over time, and, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's also about building out the way you reach that audience, and there's multiple layers, but it starts with you got to keep doing it, but don't just do it frivolously. Do it with intentionality, and it tends to, and that's what NBC did, and they got over 1 million subscribers, had their highest revenue year before I moved on to some other accounts. So
wow, yeah,
I don't know.
How many creators do you think make pivots? Like they think, okay, this is going to be my niche. This is what I want to do, and then the more they make content, they're like, oh, actually, yeah. And is it wise to follow the trends of viewership, or do you stick? So, like, let's say you make a content, you have one viral video, and you're like, ooh, I need to make more content like this. Right. So there's a difference between like chasing views, and then being intentional with your content because you just know you believe it's going to work. Have you found that there needs to be a balance of both, or is there one that you would recommend?
So I'll give you an example of what's detrimental, and I'll give you what I think is probably the best fit for it. So we just onboarded a couple who their content or their success, which, listen, they have found and have made money with this effort, is basically, and I don't want to say it like in a bad way, they look at what works in their niche area and they just kind of do what works, like what's viral, like replicate it, and they've seen growth. The problem that they're running into is that audience is not one that actually really cares about them. It's just they're getting served up, as YouTube or a lot of other platforms do, something similar, and they're gaining that traction, and it's great, but there's actually no core of what it is.
Right.
It's viral chasing, right?
Yeah.
Now, what you just asked is a little bit different. It's like, I'm making this content, and I noticed that I'm doing a business podcast, but my conspiracy theories are really taking off.
Right.
Well, then when I'd say, okay, instead of completely pivoting, is you now have two buckets. You have, okay, this is kind of the thing, but every now and then I'm going to fill this other bucket and see if that hits again. See if that hits again. And then if I started to realize that the input of the audience that I'm bringing in is really more interested in that lane, I might consider going that direction.
Right.
The challenge is pivoting too soon without the data supporting that effort, and then pivoting whole like 100%. Like that 180 is not necessary. Now it's more work to fill more buckets. So don't try to fill 7. Maybe it's 2. Maybe it's 3. But you started bucket 1 for a reason. Don't abandon it, but consider filling the second bucket, see if it grows. I don't.
Yeah, well, it's almost like if you release one video a week, you have 3 videos a month that are your consistent mainstays. You have one that's your trial. Like you have one video a month that's kind of like I'm gonna keep trying new things. I mean, that could just a simple structural idea, right? It's like, I mean, that could even be an idea for us on the podcast. Actually, the only reason I invited you here was to get all of your information.
That's fine.
I'm like,
it's free, right?
Yeah, it's free information. I'm like, hey, come on my podcast so I can get free coaching.
Right.
But that makes sense. What do you feel like is the reason so many people with potential don't make it?
Yeah. Outside of the
consistency,
valuable like I literally made a formula on LinkedIn that shows, and it's kind of boring looking, but that's true. Secondly is I don't think many people are inquisitive analysts of their data. So I will say this, I'm saying this kindly, I'm running into many creators where they go off what has worked for their friends. They go off what is, jived from their attempts, but they don't have any data supporting where they're going. Or they have one little glimmer of data. So my master's degree is in digital storytelling, data analytics. So the reason I'm saying this is like one of the things that Little Dot did well before I left Little Dot is everything was data backed aggressively. Like we're not going to make a move unless we're seeing the path forward. Now you have to take leaps. I'm not saying you don't take leaps, because if you had proven this is the way to do it, it's guaranteed, everybody'd be doing it for sure. But what I see is people are like, this way. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, just
do you have any reason
throwing
why?
darts at a dartboard blind.
Exactly. I just talked with a dude yesterday.
Yeah.
I told you about this guy. And, listen, he's like, I want to do my stuff. I want it to be about me. I'm like, why? He's like, well, because that's my vibe, man. I'm like, the data shows that when you do this type of thumbnail, this type of piece of content, it actually works. You've moved away from it because it's your vibe, or you feel like that's where you want to go. You could test it, but you're leaving the home run at home. I don't get that, man. Like data is going to matter. And so that's why when you're starting a YouTube channel, you have to show up. You have to make consistent improvements, because you ain't going to have no data outside of the competitor analysis you might do. But then once you start having the data, you can start making educated decisions, right? Do you know your top 10 search terms for YouTube search? Do you know them? Listen, because everyone's like, well, my YouTube search is not big on my browse feature suggested. It never is. Unless it's educational channels tend to be that way. It never is. They're indicators of what the algorithm is serving up, though. Right? So, okay, if, for example, you have this keyword that always is showing up in your search, that is an indicator of what YouTube is identifying as, like, that's the kind of search I'm going to throw your video at. Okay? Which means in the suggested, those people who've engaged with that type of content, it's getting served up.
Right.
See, that's a misunderstanding of your data. You're like, well, my search is 3.5%. Yeah, but it's still telling you something. Don't deny that. Like those are, and that's why I'm actually going through this is going to take forever. I'm going through every data metric on YouTube and defining what it is and how it's useful. because I want to empower. Because why I think the platform is so great is YouTube rewards creators unlike any other platform. You can make a legitimate business entirely on YouTube without ever accessing the other platforms. And I wouldn't suggest that, but you can,
right?
Because it rewards you. It pays like no other. And I've seen all the monetization. I've seen it all. Now, Facebook scarily does have some money to be made, but it's hard to get there, and you have to repost like a fiend. YouTube rewards creators, unlike any other, and rewards brands. I have brands making millions of dollars every year on YouTube alone, and they're media conglomerates. They're making millions of dollars, and YouTube's rewarded them.
Wow.
So that's why I love YouTube. It's just it's work.
I almost feel that that's why someone like you, YouTube consultants that aren't full of crap that know what they're doing, are helpful to creators. And this is why I think a lot of times creators can get paralyzed by numbers. So the downside of what you're talking about is, analytic paralyzation, where you are so, and that's where I am a lot of times. I look at all my data and I'm like, okay, I need to change this thumbnail. I need to, like when I title a podcast, it takes me like 2 hours because I create like 5 different ideas, and then I go to ChatGPT, and then I say, give me 30 variations of this title. And then I go to thumbnails, and I create 6 different thumbnails. And I go to my wife, and I'm like, hey, which one would you be more apt to click on? And then I'm so like anal about every little thing.
True.
That it takes me so long to produce one episode of a podcast that I'm like, man, like I can't do more than 2 a month. Like 2 a month is max for me. Whereas if you had somebody and you had the means to get somebody on your team that says, hey, I want to help you grow, we're going to figure out comp and all that kind of stuff, someone with your skill set to a creator that's making money that has, that is the right market would be very beneficial to trust. Does that make sense? Because I think sometimes creators can sometimes go too, I don't know, what do you think about that? Can you follow the data too much to where you just paralyze yourself?
Right, paralysis by analysis. And what I've seen, what happens is you get hyper-focused on the data that you don't actually make anything. Right? So in your situation, I would almost suggest like find a thumbnail kind of structure that works and just keep doing it for now. Because here's my thing. You can keep playing with the thumbnail and the titles forever, and it does matter 100%. Or, once again, where you have not failed, where many have, because it's so consuming, they stop because they're not seeing the growth. Like, I would tell you, go look at Joe Rogan. He does one dude on this one side, the other dude on the other side. He has a square in the middle. Do that. Just do that and keep going. And eventually, it's going to figure itself out. And then maybe you do generate a little bit of money. You invest in that thumbnail editor. You start trying. So, the thumbnail tester's getting rolled out slowly to all creators, right? That's something that's going to help there. But, like, don't let your title and thumbnail shackle you to where you're not creating consistently more. That's why, like, when you leverage tools help make shorts and have those things happen, I'm like, it is a quantity game to some extent.
100%. My buddy Rob Courtney would agree with you so much. He's a very big believer in quantity over quality. Now, I'm not saying quality is important.
Oh, 100%.
But if you had to choose, he's like quantity. Shout out Rob, by the way. Guy on the podcast, great marketing genius here in Detroit. But
because if you make 5, they're so polished, just so perfect. They're 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Someone made 100.
Yeah.
They had 100 more chance, like 95 more chances than you did.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's just percentage play.
Right.
Like, what happens if the algorithm didn't like you that morning?
Right. Well, and guess what? The reality about new channels is you're going to have to fight the algorithms because they don't have any. It's just like the indexing on Google, guys. Like, I'm not playing. You have to actually show up because YouTube's like, I don't trust you yet. That's how this algorithm works. Now, there's always outliers, and that's what you read on Twitter. That stuff just kills me. I posted one video and got 500,000 views. I'm like, I don't give one fadoodle. Okay, look at that. Was that good? I don't care that you had one video go viral because that is not the norm. And I've worked with everyone at this point. And I'm not saying that like, oh, look at me. I'm like, no, I've worked with it all. I've seen it all. It's not one typically. It does happen. But first off, a lot of these new creators with actual money, they put paid media behind it to get a boosting organic lift. People can't do that when they're starting a new channel.
Well, a lot of times they get, especially for podcasts, what we need to talk about? Sorry, this is going to be over. Just
let it go.
Who's the Bobby, the chick? Have you seen that girl? She's like a blonde haired girl.
Oh, and, the like dry pan. Yeah, who's literally ruined her life from her podcasting endeavors.
So have you followed this at all?
I am aware that she's, with Drake.
She's fallen off.
Right. Yeah.
Like in like the past month,
it's not gone well.
It's not gone well. And it's like, that's what shows you. Well, first of all, you could argue industry plant, but in that weird scenario, yeah, right.
Like there it is. There's
my conspiracy. Right. But it was interesting where she had the guests, she had the names, she had the brands, but she herself, I don't know what it was in that scenario, but she uprooted her life. She got
she got divorced, and then she goes to Drake's party and gets thrown out.
Yes, and then she goes to Drake's party and gets thrown out after they, she does a podcast with him. They have her take her down. But like my point is, that's somebody who seemingly was not prepared for
the climb, right? For the climb and the success that comes with it.
I would argue that a lot of the people that they post one YouTube video and get 500,000, they haven't built the muscle memory of. They don't know what it's like to fail. And a lot of the creators that go slow, they take time, they get better. Right. They get, like, for example, if I interview Jordan Peterson tomorrow, I'm not ready for that.
Right. Although it would be awesome.
Although he is on my list, by the way. Right. I have a secret list.
It was Jordan Peterson then me. That's what I heard.
It is Well, so it's Trevor Baker, and then it's like Elon, and then it's like Jordan.
Right.
And I have a list of like it's like a 5-tiered list. So it's like, okay, these are people that I can just text. They're gonna do it for me as a friend.
Good approach, by the way.
Yeah. And they're gonna come on because they like me, and I like them. They're interesting. Let's get them on the show.
Yeah.
I have tier 2. These are people that have been recommended to me.
Yep.
That if they're recommended, most likely they have something of interest that someone will gravitate to because somebody recommended them. Right. Then tier 3 are people that are either very successful in their field. So they're like million/billionaires. They're like, right now I have zero connection with them on LinkedIn, but my buddy does. So I feel like with a couple texts and a couple introductions, I could, and then then you get to like the tier 4 and 5, which is just like, I have like he plays for the Magic. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now.
You think about the Isaiah guy.
Yeah, Isaiah, he's a believer.
Yes.
He's done awesome. A lot of great stuff. And so I've already reached out to him on Twitter like 3 times. So I just sent out a text. I sent out a text to these 3 people the other day on Twitter. This is what it said. It was to Alex Hormozi, which I don't know if you know who that is. No idea. Massive entrepreneur. Just if you're in the entrepreneur business space.
Is he the big beard dude with the long hair?
Yes. Yeah. So Alex Hormozi, Isaiah, and then one other person that I'm blanking right now. And I sent him to 3, and I said it's Trevor. And I just said this. I started off the message. I was just like, hey, blank, I currently have 680 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, you're just telling the truth.
Once I have 1,000, I'm going to reach back out. Once I have 10,000, I'm going to reach back out. Once I have 50,000, I'm going to reach back out. And I said, whenever you feel that like it's worth your time to respond to me, like feel free.
Yeah.
But I want you to watch my growth. Yeah. And it was right to the point. It was simple. And I've taken like a million I used my sales experience. But that's what I said. I'm like, hey, I'm not there yet. I'm not even going to ask you. I just want you to watch my growth because it's going to happen.
Take this clip. You want to get some virality here. Take what you just said. Add some trending music on YouTube. That'll probably be one of your number 1 short. I'm not even playing.
Yeah, was that a good one?
It felt good. I got some goosebumps. I'm not even playing.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I could show you.
Because you're telling them, listen, I get that this is not interesting to you, but I will be interesting to you.
Yeah, I think it was actually Jordan. that I said that to. Yeah, because it's like, even if your assistant sees this, then it's like, well, this is good for you because you're an entrepreneur now. Sales is all relationships. You build relationships off of consistency, and you build consistency
be the theme
of honesty.
Right. Integrity.
And so if you aren't honest with where you're at, and I think, I've been asked to be on podcasts before of like, I get on LinkedIn, they're like, hey, there's a fellow podcast. And it's like, you don't know anything about me. You
just saw
an opportunity
that you're struggling to fill. Most likely.
And it's like, no, I'm okay. Like, we can chat. Let's have some coffee. Let's see for a good opportunity. But yeah, I think anyway. I don't know why I got on that tangent, but
because it's first off, it's motivation to you because like now I gotta grow.
Yeah.
But you're also like, you never know, right? So I've worked with a financial podcast for 6 years now, similar tier to yours. Like he had his. This is my friends in the industry. They'll come on the podcast. He's playing ball at tier 2 now. We're like, now listen, the names are not relevant to us, but they're tangential to like think about the Shark Tank folks with Barbara, right? Mm-hmm. She was in play for actually coming on a podcast, right?
Right.
Would have never had that chance at the beginning. Yeah. And listen, this is not the sexiest podcast, okay? It's very much, it's intelligent, investing kind of podcast.
There's a specific group of people that are going to find value out of it. Right.
But it's worked and it's grown, and now it's like this like neat little niche that's done really well. And then you've got someone like Morgan Housel, who wrote The Psychology of Money, who's going to come on it. Michael Kitces is going to be on it. He's one of the biggest financial advisors in the industry. Now, you don't necessarily care about that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily care about
but what a win for those guys.
Huge win.
Yeah, what a win. Because then they have a network of people with their tier. And that's the beautiful thing is, I, Lord willing, I'm going to have a guy on the Babylon Bee come on the show.
That'd be dope.
He's the senior editor of the Babylon Bee.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
So he...
I'm doing so well, that's where. Yeah, I'm trying so hard.
What did you say? Oh, yeah. You're doing good.
I'm doing good. I'm well behaved.
And so he's definitely coming on the show. But, when is the question? And he's being very kind to drive up from Ohio to come on the show. That's the other thing that's been interesting about this show is I am exclusively in person, and I will not break. Right. I have had some unique opportunities from unique people, and I've said, unfortunately, I would love to get to the point where the podcast makes enough money that I can fly them out here. Right. I can pay, but my wife would kill me. Wait, unless it was
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I'm I will pay your way, Mr. Billionaire.
Right.
I'm making $39,000. Here, I'll buy you first class.
But if that was actually happen, it's an investment at that point. Right?
Oh yeah, it'd be insane. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know where we got on that tangent.
No,
but
it's great.
I just think you have such a unique perspective to creator growth. You've seen it, and then it's interesting being me so small, trying to stay consistent. And man, it is hard.
It is hard.
It is so discouraging to get guests on the podcast. Yep. You work your booty off editing or having a team edit and all this stuff. And the next thing you know, you're like, this podcast is the best content. I have 50 views. And you're like,
But you'll look back in a couple of years, I'm telling you, and you'll be like, that's the stuff that made me strong and actually made it work, right? Because the privilege that I've had is I actually have worked well before I got playing with the big players.
Yeah.
I worked in cybersecurity, private education. I worked for an India-based entertainment channel, right? It helped all of those grow where no one even cared about what I was doing, okay? And then I got to play ball with an NBC, right? But all it took was, yes, I grew those, and I went for a cybersecurity channel. We went from 80 subscribers to what I left 1,000 subscribers. Maybe no one cares about that. For cybersecurity, that is hard. I left a India-based entertainment channel, and I'm saying that not I am proprietary. No, what it was showing up, looking at what we're doing, doing it well, making those improvements, and it grew. So I joined the entertainment channel, started with 600,000 subscribers, left it with 1.3 million subscribers. Wow. But did I have a glorified setup? No. Nothing the cybersecurity stuff. Listen, that did not end well, by the way. I don't even put that experience on my resume.
Really, it was
because that was either it was Wall Street Journal or Washington Post caught wind of the company, and it's an employee monitoring software, so there's some negative vibes there. And I was doing a comedic approach to our content. I was doing humorous interpretations of how it works. What's also the reality is that software is as nefarious as the person using it and as beneficial as right. It's not the software that's evil. It is who uses it and how they use it.
It's a tool.
Which, that could be applied to so many other areas. We all know that.
Guns.
Go ahead. Second Amendment rights.
Yeah. Open carry.
So, a YouTuber caught wind of that, about 500,000 subscribers. He took my videos and just roasted them. He called me bucktooth weasel, pasty, corporate simp, the whole thing. And I got fired that week. So,
really,
needless to say, even despite the success, because I did, unfortunately, we had our best week ever on YouTube because negative publicity does work. But it also resulted in me quickly losing that job.
You feel like that would seem to like a rash decision by them.
Well, here's the problem: is I got brought on, and then the guy who brought me on had an issue with the CEO and left 2 weeks later. So I already knew the seat was hot. I was like, you know how this works. Yeah. I was hired by the guy right? But we were growing, so you couldn't argue with
right.
And we had conversions, right? So we had conversions, so it was working. then when you have like a big news outlet do the thing they did, and then a big YouTuber do the thing they did, and then all the traffic that we're getting was pretty negative, you're like, I have ample reason to get rid of you. So I literally got a call. He's like, thanks. He told me, he was transparent. He was like, you did a great job. We're going a different direction. 15 minutes later, I was locked out of everything. And that was it. Wow. I was done. I was like, all right.
All right.
And that was early in my career, and I was pretty disappointed, but it helped me.
Hate comments are we're talking about them earlier. Someone asked me though yesterday like how I take hate comments. When I first started, it would bother me for like an hour.
Yeah.
Because you work your butt off, and then some little
it's intimate too. Podcasts are intimate.
Yeah.
So
someone commented on a podcast and they said this is the worst podcast I've ever heard.
There you go.
And I snipped it and I put it on my Instagram story.
Yes.
And I was just like, appreciate this person giving me an algorithm boost.
Yeah.
And then I had like 30 friends just like attack this dude. And I'm like, thanks, boys.
Yeah.
You got my back.
Come out. Yeah.
I had the funniest, speaking of hate comments, I had one that just made me absolutely laugh. It was the best thing I've ever heard. I posted a short about talking about, it was like someone asked me, my podcast has grown well relatively to other podcasts.
Right. I would agree. I actually messaged you saying, like, dude, you're killing it. You're absolutely killing it.
We're not big.
And
obviously.
I didn't know you, by the way. I was just like, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. That was very kind.
Right. I mean, I meant it because I was like, he's still, like, I was like, it was more like I saw you start it. It was like, I think like 6 months later, I was like, this guy's still doing it.
Yeah.
You're exactly the kind of person that I'm like, yes, he'll make it.
I hope you're right, brother.
Listen,
so I just was talking about taking only reason I've been successful, and I use that in air quotes because
listen,
we're still doing the fact that we're still doing it is a success.
Yeah, I agree.
But I just said it's like turning long form to short form. That's been using AI has been instrumental to like the reason why I'm growth. Like the majority of my views, whatever. And then someone just commented, it'd be like, you look like you eat your views, fatty.
It's a great comment.
And I just died. I was like, that's the best comment I've ever heard in my life. You look like you eat your views, fatty.
The perfect response would be like, I could get bigger.
Yeah. Well, the perfect what I said was like I said something like I'm so fat because I have so many views or something like that. I'm like it was just awesome because I showed that to Anna, my wife. She's like, "Oh, Dillon, are you okay?" I'm like, I'm doing great. That's hilarious. And it's good. And it's good. It's good for the algorithm. But you eat your views. That is the best.
That's actually my advice: is to eat as many views as you get, calorie wise.
Oh, dude, I'd be starving. I'd be starving. 60 calories a day.
Right. Hey, watch my videos all day.
Yeah, dude.
Please help me.
Please. Like how people do those challenges. I'm doing a challenge that I will eat. I will eat one view in whatever, and it's like you're gonna get a headline like a week later. YouTube creator dies from not.
Don't
eating.
do those challenges. Don't do I hate when people are like, I want to post on every platform every day. It's like that's consistent for a time. Do you know why and what you're doing?
Yeah.
I know that's not where you're going.
No.
But I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
I hate that stuff. Like, I'm just going to grind for this month. Yeah, and then you'll never do it again.
What was what you said earlier.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable, but you're also not trying to make better content.
Right.
You have to be able to balance getting your stuff out there, but also making content good. Right. If you're flinging poo at people's face, it doesn't matter if you fling poo at people on YouTube and you do it on all 5. It's still poo and it still stinks and they're not going to like it. You have to figure out how you can make good content.
Right. You can fling 100 pieces of poo. It's still a pile of poo.
Yeah. And then there might be some weirdo out there that likes it.
Like, I really like that.
Yeah, but
that one person,
I don't think you want them. I don't think you want them as, Whew.
I wish I had that formula in front of me. I have to look that up. But yeah, that's the formula. Am I allowed to use my phone on this podcast?
Yeah, pull it up. Oh, you can do whatever you want on this podcast.
Listen, I'm just trying to be well behaved.
You've been great.
Sentry, Mom has promised that I'll make McDonald's or bring McDonald's home. Okay.
That's what your wife wants. I'm not a big McDonald's fan, but I will say I have a buddy that I
love McDonald's.
That
I'm so fat.
Telling me about he loves the steak, egg, and cheese bagel for breakfast. Steak, egg, and cheese. He just loves it. And I'm not a big McDonald's guy.
There it is. Valuable. What could they do this on the podcast? Is that self-promotion?
Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can.
There you go. I was trying to think.
Pause.
Did it pause? Oh, Jared Goff. What's up, man? Oh, there you go. Boosh. There you go. That's free. It's a very boring formula, but it's actually echoing what you were saying. That's why it was killing me. I was like, I don't even remember what I wrote. But it's improvement equals intentionality, consistency, but it's then the three variables: analyzation, experimentation, and mathematical constant, which means showing up, continue to do it, right? It's very boring, but I actually stole it from a financial formula. But the reason that you were saying about the poop, right? I know we keep going back to this, is that so many people don't input analyzation, experimentation with the actual, like, you got to keep doing it, keep trying, keep it. Anyway, that's, I'm not going to belabor that point, but like seriously be intentional about what you're doing.
Yeah, be intentional, be consistent. Yeah, let's see what we have left. We have a microwave outside if we need to take a pause.
Oh no, I'm good. And I'm just not over your mic.
You're more than welcome to blow the nose on the podcast. Under the thigh.
Keep that whenever you want.
That's good. No, we'll keep it all in.
That's all.
Well, I think that's why. I mean, we talked about it, but Joe keeps everything in, and I talk about this a lot. But like, you might not like. You might not. They do. They talk about everything. I just love. People have told me before that I got 2 great compliments the other day, and then we can go to whoever next we want to after. But
listen, I got no agenda. So.
Yeah, me either. This is great, and honestly, we have all the content already. I'm like, that was amazing. That's great. That's great. Now we can do whatever we want for an hour.
UFOs.
Yeah.
He's like, maybe, but there's still some YouTube things I'd like to talk about.
I know. It's like, I would love to go there.
Yeah.
I have a buddy in Greenville that is like very much into conspiracy theory, not from crazy. He just enjoys the hunt.
Right.
And so when I go to Greenville this summer, we're going to have just a killer podcast.
Amazing.
I
will be watching that one.
We also have, speaking of content, I'm going to ask your thoughts on this. And I was going to let you know ahead of time I'm going to do this either way.
Okay. Great.
Okay. So, I forget what I was about to tell you. Or I don't know where I was going before.
We were talking about UFOs. You got really excited.
I did get really excited about that. But no. So, I want to create... So, YouTube... Driving people to your YouTube channel. YouTube's weird because... And they have a separate little podcast thing. But... I like Valuetainment. Have you followed Valuetainment at all? Do you know who that is at all? Patrick David Bett.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I just don't know the names.
Valuetainment is the name of his channel, and then he has like it's a big conglomerate of different types of stuff. So they have their podcast. They've since created their own podcast channel, but for a while it was like he would do financial stuff under a financial playlist.
Yeah,
he would do their podcast. Correct. It was it was PHP is the name of the agency. I have a buddy that works there, life insurance and whatever. I'm very done the work. Good company. Underpays the commission, but good company.
Right.
Anyway, I one thing I thought was interesting was he used the Valuetainment channel as a landing page, and then had different playlists to separate different types of content.
Yeah.
And so this is what I'm thinking. You can tell me if this is stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. So I love 3 things in life. Like I love my wife. I love
be the first
God,
in your mouth, right?
And I love food. No, I'm just kidding. No, but in the YouTube space, I love entrepreneurship conversations or like podcast type stuff. Yeah. I love comedy.
Yeah.
And then I love conspiracy. We say conspiracy, but I love taking things that people say is taboo and exploring them to see if there's truth there.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And so those are the 3 genres. So currently the podcast has been really fun. We've kind of explored different things.
Yep.
But I'd love to throw some comedy at the wall. And videos that I love are the dad joke videos. Where you have 2 people, they have like a piece of paper, and they're trying not to laugh, and you get a point if you laugh, and you just deadpan. So I have 3 buddies lined up right now for us to do like a dad joke-a-thon. Yeah. But it's not going to be really a podcast. It's going to be more intentional type video that I'm going to post under like a separate section in our channel. Yeah. Do you think is that a good idea? Because my thought is, hey, if I can drive traffic to the channel through comedy, then they're like, oh shoot, Dillon also has a podcast.
Right.
That's
You're
my
doing
thought.
Exactly what we just talked about, right?
Okay, good.
Now listen, you don't necessarily have that data indicator.
Yeah.
That to go that direction, but you haven't tried it either, right? So maybe you get a hit on the short of the dad joke you told, which was funny, by the way.
Thank you.
But you're saying, like, I'm not abandoning the podcast. You're saying, I'm going to try another flavor of content.
Right.
You're gonna
while still being consistent.
While still being consistent. And I'm going to put it on my channel, which I'm a big believer in making your channel page chef's kiss. Okay, I hate working with people who are like, I don't care about the channel page. I'm like, I disagree because the fastest growing device on YouTube is the connected television in the living room, right? Channel pages have now transformed into immersive channel pages, which are going to be more formatted for optimal navigation on the connected TV. So why I'm saying that is imagine your channel page as a TV curation. It's like if you're on Disney Plus, all of a sudden, yes, a freaking row of, you're smiling. I know. But a row saying dad joke-a-thon or whatever, dad joke videos, all of a sudden that's a content offering of the Dillon England TV channel, if you will.
Right.
Well, that's a big difference. That's why it matters all of a sudden, right? So everyone who tells me they don't care about their channel page, you're missing an opportunity because that's where it's headed. Yeah. Right? Don't even get me started on my whole thing about optimize your channel for connected TV viewing because it is the fastest growing device, 700 million watch hours per day, by the way. Also, if you're in the kids on TV, right? And if you're in the kids realm, it is the fastest growing device in the kids market, like 10x over mobile phones.
I mean, you look at shows at like whatever that watermelon, whatever Cocomelon.
Right.
Yeah.
I worked on DC Kids. Okay. Last year, 1.3 billion views. Not to but
with a B.
Right. With a B. Took their new show Bat Wheels, has outperformed its performance on HBO Max on YouTube by about 20x. Now, granted, that's probably because Max, since I no longer work at this company, is a lousy platform. But it's because YouTube is the place for kids. Now, granted, go back to what you're saying. Hell yes, you should make a dad shelf because it's going to only help you in the future. Yeah. It's an opportunity that you don't know. And you should do things that you enjoy to some extent.
Yeah. Well, it breaks up the monotony of the
this boring podcast.
Right? Yeah, this is.
I'm just kidding. He was like, I don't like that. That's one of those hate comments.
Like, geez, no. Well, that's what's called the Dillon England Show because I'm like, we can. The way the channel's set up right now is the channel's name is Dillon England, and then if you go to the podcast, it's called the Dillon England Show, and so that's how we've separated it. And I like to think I'm smart sometimes.
Do not make multiple channels. YouTube. I've worked with YouTube. They will tell you this because because one of their big ticket items when they do their Q or year review is how many new channels were created. That's not going to behoove you. Keep it all on one channel. And like you said, you've done a perfect job. You didn't say the Dillon England podcast channel. It's the Dillon England Show. This show is a variety show for all we know. It's just you haven't necessarily had those avenues to do so.
Right.
But I think you're going to find yourself and also I believe, by the way, for your type of thing, personality is what's going to grow you.
Yeah.
Content quality as well, but you're a likable person. That's going to help you, right? Because over time, I'm going to be like, I just enjoy listening to Dillon and the stuff that he does, right? There's a certain expectation, whether it's the podcast, whether it's the dad jokes, whether it's his comedy.
Well, it's creating community, right? It's creating community. It's like you said, the difference of creating virality, chasing views. Right. It's trying to create a community of people that have bought into you.
Jump on a horse. I'm going to let you.
I got you, dude. I got you.
You got me going. I'm like, yeah.
And it's there's in business there's something called the theory of the first follower, and in business when you're trying to scale your business you just need that first follower. Right. You need to find that first person that buys into you, that buys into what you're doing when you're starting a company. You need your first follower, and then it's the same type of concept I think is what you're thinking here. It's you need your first subscriber. Right. You need your first returning subscriber. You need your first returning, and then that person's going to share your content, and then eventually, that's why I am actually more interested on return viewer tab on YouTube because anybody can click on a video for 30 seconds and count as a viewer, or however, I don't know how many seconds.
30 seconds.
Okay, I thought I remember reading that somewhere.
There you go. Most valuable view out there, folks. Just let you know.
So please at least view the podcast for 30 seconds.
I swear, if you leave at 28, you're dead to us.
Yeah,
we will come and find you.
Don't come back.
Yeah, don't even come back.
Yeah, don't come back.
Literally, put it in.
Actually, you can come back. It's fine.
No, but seriously, if you're going to watch this, give it 30 seconds, put it in a separate tab. You got your two monitors. Just do it a favor, okay?
Yeah, and honestly, just let the video play out.
Let it play out. I do that to my own videos all the time.
As you should.
As you should.
As you should.
So going back to community. So this brings me back to the example of chasing waves instead of riding them. That's a big thing that I tell people is one of the creators I'm working with, they've chased virality and have had success, made some money. It's fine. But the problem is that they don't have an audience that they convert at all, right? They're like, we want to do Amazon affiliate links. We want to do our own merch. But they don't care about you. They care about this viral content that you do decently well.
Yeah.
You want them to care about you and what you're doing. Because guess what? I have seen channels that have 5,000 subscribers that make so much money. Why? Because they want their T-shirts. They want to be in their Discord. They want their recipes. And it doesn't need to be 1 million subscribers. It needs to be I worked really hard for this little chunk, and I could recommend something. So say it's you. I really like you. You're like, this coffee rocks. I'm like, I like Dillon. I bet the coffee rocks. It does rock. Drink it. Legit review. It does. It's very good. I asked for more on this podcast. Nice. But that's a convertible audience. Okay, so down the road, you do dad jokes. You're like, hey, I've got a dad joke book that I made myself, including the toe jokes. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to watch that. Or I want to buy that ebook or whatever it is. That's the difference is, hey, although it's slow, the audience brain is definitely here for me. This is why I'm big about audience composition, which is another layer of YouTube. But that's been developing in recent years. So you don't have a lot of information on the internet on this.
Yeah.
Is that it used to be like unique views. That's very website-y, right? Which is a useless metric. It's still there, but you have return viewer and new viewers. You want to blend, right? But those return viewers are the viewers that you're like, they show up. They care about what I'm doing, and then eventually that turns into channel memberships, right? Bro, I've got a guy that's making thousands of dollars a month on channel memberships, and all he does is like you get some stickers that you can use on the videos that no one else can use, right? Because you can do like you can do custom emojis,
streaming and stuff,
right? Actually, you could do them in the comments as well,
really?
Right?
Okay.
And he's like, you get to see the video 24 hours sooner, and people are like, yes, me first, great. All that is you click on YouTube, members first, and then roll this bad boy out for everyone else. And it works. It's incredible what the threshold is, but then you can elevate that further and further. And that's why
scale that, right.
But that's why when you care about how you're bringing that audience, like virality, I get it. It helps you. It might jumpstart you. It might get you that awareness. And if you get it, awesome. But if all you're doing is chasing the wave to get it to bring in, you have brought nothing in. You have brought as easy that view came in, as easy it will go out. Sorry, I know I'm getting loud, but like that is.
No, you're good.
And that's why I had to talk.
You haven't clipped yet, so I'm good with that.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah. But that's why we sat down. They were very sincere. They understood it. But I told them, I was like, we have to get to where we have to get comfortable with less probably traction, but we're growing something. We need to start making these series, these buckets that are home runs. And we need to start letting that be the thing. So I am getting a phone call.
Yeah, double check it's not wifey. Yeah.
It's not the wife. Okay.
Okay, cool.
I told her I was like, I'm going to be gone for like 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. No, I do that all the time. Actually, I've closed insurance sales because I've picked up during presentations because my wife and I, we have a rule. If we call 2 times in a row, something's wrong. Right. So if we call 2 times, and then my wife called twice, and I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. I need to take this. Like, give me one. There's like a room full of employees. There's like 30 employees. I'm like, I'm really sorry, guys. I need to make sure my wife's okay. Yeah. And then like, and it wasn't a prop, by the way. That actually like did. My wife and I now just calls me like it's like a new thing I do, to get sales. Just kidding. But yeah, do it, man. Take those calls.
Yeah.
I don't know I was going with that.
No, you're great. All I have to say, I love, like, I think you venturing out and like, although it's small, like, you probably really know those subscribers, those consistent commenters. They're gonna be along with you for the ride, and then when you start building out the business, because I view YouTube as the center hub for everything else. Right?
Okay.
For all your other platforms. Yeah. So a lot of what I do now in my new business is I help set up the multi-platform approach, and then also building out the e-commerce possibilities, depending on its merch, depending on its making it just a premium membership group in like a Discord. Making it where it's a software. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. First of all, I think that if this is going to be an insane podcast, if whoever finds it, whoever's looking to create, because that was like, I mean, it's simple, but it's true.
It's true.
You've had the experience, you've done it, and you're doing it. And so if anyone's going to listen to anybody, it's like, well, this was a good, hour of like, this is great content. But I want to pivot. And I don't want to get you in trouble.
I won't get in trouble, probably.
But this is a concern I have, and I wanted to talk to somebody that's in the YouTube realm on what your thoughts on this. Okay. YouTube, liberal company.
Right.
Me, not liberal.
Right.
Okay. You have shows like The Ben Shapiro Show that they're so big YouTube would be stupid to do anything about that.
Right.
So they have a freedom to say things that maybe a small creator.
Sure.
I'm making assumptions here, and I'm learning. So let's just say I'm like, hey, I want to get political on the podcast. Not the plan right now. Not against it. People have asked for it. And I would never get political myself. I would invite political people on the podcast that is their, like I would invite John James, who's running for, the Republican seat. And I'll even invite a Democrat on. I don't care. Like just,
I think
but
you should.
Jumping in that field. YouTube censorship. Yeah. How big of a deal is that for small creators that don't have, and even YouTube throttleship? Right. There's a difference between taking down your whole channel and you're just, you talked about COVID. I don't know if I can even say that on this podcast. I might get, you talked about the COVID/19 and you said that people shouldn't get a VACCINS, whatever. Like, is that something to be concerned about for creators? And is there alternative, like, is it smart to post on YouTube and Rumble? Is it smart to, like, somebody told me the other day, it's like, hey, you should post on Rumble. You should expand. And I'm like, just so you have a backup plan in case you ever get strikes. And, how much of a concern is that for creators?
Yeah.
And should it be?
So here's my, so I know a good bit of people who work at YouTube, and I also know that this is a reality. So and I would be lying, by the way, to say that I know all that's behind the curtain. I do not, nor do I care to know, quite frankly.
Right.
I will say, I have found that there's a healthy amount of people that claim that they're being throttled or shadow banned. And the truth is, you're probably just not big enough for YouTube to even care. Now, I would be naive to say is there's some algorithm inputs that maybe make it detrimental for that type of content? Potentially. I would argue for both sides, by the way. My 2 cents would be, though, if you think that's the reason you're not succeeding, you probably ain't big enough for it to even matter. And then secondly, like, you're also playing a very competitive market. So when you talk about like a Ben Shapiro, like if you have very similar views as him, they're just going to promote Ben Shapiro because that's what's making, because they want to make money, number one. Now, when the pandemic was happening, there was weird stuff going on. And I don't have answers for all that. What I do have answers for is maybe a backup. Rumble's really hard to grow on. That's just reality. Some people are there. Good for live streaming alternative.
Yeah.
I have been in YouTube for so long. And listen, have I agreed with everything that's happened? 100% no. But it is the one that has changed people's lives the most, in my opinion. Right. And so I just wouldn't be nervous about, like, I also would say be smart about what you're doing. Like, if your goal is to be polarizing and visceral,
right,
I don't know if we need more of that anyways.
Correct.
I would argue, like, if you're going to get political, bring both viewpoints and let them speak and be heard.
Yep.
If you're here, like, I know those channels exist where it's like just calling whatever party they disagree with visceral, like, oh, that was dumb, whatever.
Yeah.
Or
and they're just trying to be controversial to be controversial.
Right, because they know that polarizing gets clicks. Well, then maybe, like, I'm not saying you should get throttled, but maybe you should reconsider what is your reasoning for doing that.
Yeah.
So you can become popular.
Mm-hmm.
So you've decided to go so pendulum swing to gain that opportunity. Well, then I would argue you're chasing the virality at that point. Yeah. And I actually don't think that's making us a better country. I would argue that the situation we're in now is because we've found that polarizing gets easy clicks.
Yeah.
And that's how we almost are running politically now. Yeah. It's like we have
you can't,
this and this.
You can't
it's so
have
dynamic.
conversations. I mean, I had with, like, okay, you're a left. Well, then, if you're a conservative, you're a fascist. And then if you're a Democrat, then you're just,
snowflake,
snowflake, libtard, whatever. You know.
Right.
And so, no, I agree. And I think I've wanted to explore having people on the show that I disagree with and just show people how you can have a good, authentic, raw conversation. And I think we need more of that. I actually we'll pivot after this. I don't know. I keep saying pivot today. I've been playing basketball recently.
Right.
But we'll pivot. But I just had a conversation with a business owner on Thursday, and it was great. Like, we just it wasn't supposed to turn political, and then she asked me about adoption. Then I mentioned pro-life, and then next thing you know, an hour later, like, I learned a lot more about this person, and I gained more empathy for her views. But then she also gained, I think, a lot more empathy for my views. And not everyone that believes that people should be able to own guns just wants to kill children in schools. You know, and so like, which was kind of her viewpoint. And so it's you know, again. But when you all you do is get funneled this like, well, why would you want to have a gun if you don't want to kill people? You know, like you know, but that's all you hear. Then all of a sudden and then you hear this. By the way, don't talk to the other side because they're crazy. They're crazy. You don't
hear that on both sides, by the way.
Exactly. And so then it's like, well, then we can never grow. We can never find what's, you know, actually a lot of people who are opposite of what I believe, when I talk to them, I understand why they believe that way.
It's
now, I will never leave, very rarely do I leave actually agreeing with them.
Sure.
But I can say, actually, the way you were brought up, what you've gone through, and what you've seen, I can 100% understand why you've landed here. Now, there are certain things that are non-negotiables, and I will never understand or agree or empathize with. But there are a lot of things that
doesn't mean you hate that person either.
Exactly.
And that's where, like, I really struggled in younger years, and I know this was even the part of but like I struggled in younger years with separating the ideology from the person. I was like, basically, I would take it almost personally, like, oh, you think differently than me? That means you don't like me. It's like, now listen, I get that obviously when you're ideologically different, you're probably going to, those overlaps, you're going to tend to resonate with someone who's more similar to you than someone who's not. But if you cannot separate, like, this is what I think versus this is a person, what we've done is, oh, you think that this is who you are, I hate you. And that's so not benefit. And that's in a lot of areas, by the way. People get so personal, like, because they think differently. I don't like them. Like, well, that's actually never going to lead to an opportunity to learn something new. To maybe change.
And sure, you might never be best friends.
You don't have to be.
And for me though, and I think the where I get stuck is, I want everyone to know Jesus. That's all I want. And when you jump in this world of despising hate on either side of the aisle, that is never going to happen.
I agree.
So that for me is why it's so funny. I somehow in my business, politics come up way more than they probably should. And I think also it's just I enjoy people being honest. I enjoy people feeling a little uncomfortable. And then afterwards being like, this was good. They're like, especially living in Metro Detroit, there ain't that many Republicans. And so them after talking to me, and by the way, I'm not saying I'm like a diehard Republican, but I definitely lean way more conservative
you're saying
than
you
left.
lean conservatively.
100%.
You're in an area where it doesn't, which leads to conversations that are not aligned in your view of things.
They're like, this was really cool. Like I thought that all, and I'm like, no, that's not how it works. And so it's been really cool. We built deeper friendships that way. And I don't know, just side. I don't know where we got there, but I think it's just helpful to. I hate that, and I put this on LinkedIn, by the way. I hate that we live in a world that it is frowned upon to talk about religion and politics, and it is like, you don't do that in the corporate setting. Why? Why don't we do that in the corporate setting? I think it should be encouraged. I think your faith actually matters. I think, and then again, I understand arguments. I understand, people not be. But instead of, the reason why people can't control it is that they never do it.
That's also true. There's no reps.
If it's normalized to...
And you've lived in your echo chamber.
Yeah, correct. Then that's why there's blow-ups, and then they're like, well, we just stay away. And then that's when no one actually learns. No,
I've ran into situations where there's someone saying something in a conversation. I'm like, have you ever talked to anybody who thinks differently than you? Because you would learn quickly how off-base you are on how that person actually
But they think they're on because
exists.
Everyone else is like, oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
But so anyway, I think I asked that because that's eventually where I want to kind of start sprinkling that in the podcast a little bit. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to chase views just to chase views. I don't want to, but controversy probably will happen if I open that door. Anna, by the way, does not want me to jump into politics at all.
I think
whatsoever. And I don't blame her. I don't, because, quick alert, not trying to be controversial. The last election, okay?
Fun one.
Biden versus Trump, okay?
Not again.
My wife, can't wait. My wife counted votes in Cobo Hall. And there were weird things that happened.
Yep.
Factual. Like Republicans were sent out of the room and they locked the doors and did not let them back in. Factual. Right. There were supposed to be both parties represented at each counter. Did not happen. Factual.
Right.
I don't know if anything bad happened, but that is factual.
Right. You're just saying the experience.
This is what
I'm
happened.
Not here landing a plane. You're just saying this is what happened. Right.
So she made a post on Instagram, being like, "I'm at Cobo Hall. This is what's going on."
Yeah.
Death threats.
Whoa.
Doxing. People like threatening to swing by our house. Like her Instagram was just like, the comment feed of that being like, "You're just whatever."
Right.
And so I didn't sleep for 24 hours.
Yeah.
I stayed up in our house, just because the issue was on her Instagram, she had a picture of our house when we moved in.
Right. So someone with you've seen those reels where they're like, I'm going to find this bench in the Netherlands.
And just and
they do it, and you're like, oh, wow.
And again, nothing ever happened, but I think because of that event and how crazy people can act when they disagree.
And you have a kid.
We have a kid. And so I think Anna, and very rightfully so, is just like
walk cautiously.
Yeah, don't just. That's what I said. Don't just jump in and just try to cause controversy.
I think it's about the approach, though, right? Like if you're legitimately wanting to hear thoughts and exchange that and do it tastefully, like there'll always be some visceralness, but like I think you're starting already better where it's like you're not looking to poke the bear and get it to be insightful.
Of course
which,
not.
Of course, you'll get.
I will do that for conspiracy theories because I love people that get so bent out of shape when people think outside the box. Yeah. It makes me so happy when someone's like, "Oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist."
That's crazy.
You're like, sure, but it's also fun to think about.
It is fun to think about.
I don't know. I love.
Listen, I could go that. I love those rabbit holes.
Oh yeah, I mean they can be dangerous. Don't get me wrong. They can be,
and they can be time consuming.
When you don't look at them through the lens of like I look at them as like this is just entertainment for me.
Yeah,
I'm not. I think that my friend David said this the best, and he said I think that most conspiracy theories are not some genius pulling all the strings. Most conspiracy theories are probably more of just consequential actions that just happen to happen. Than just some super genius pulling all the strings. Right. And I'm like, that's probably
true.
Probably a very true thing.
Like, hey, that's interesting.
And then there it goes. And you're like, but at the same time, it is fascinating.
Or it's people sitting around the table go like, what if? And that's the dangerous first two words.
Late night conversations, like around a fire. You're like, what if they're
a little bit high?
Yeah.
A little bit buzzed.
That's actually a joke I have. Is like, I don't smoke weed, but I have a lot of weed thoughts.
Yeah. No. I gotta quench those though, because I'm like, I guess don't go back here.
That's a good one. Like slow children signs. I think there's a really funny joke in there. I have a great joke, and it's already fully fleshed out. By the way,
your whole bit. We're gonna have like the whole comedy special on this podcast.
So the goal is I made a promise to myself that this year I'm attending an open mic. So there's a couple comedy clubs in Detroit that do like open mics. So I'm gonna do that once this year. My goal is to get 10 fully fledged jokes, and I'm not saying like a one sentence punchline joke, like joke as in like it's a 3 to 5 minute joke. I want to get 10, so then I have like 50 minutes of material. Yeah. Whereas like I can read the crowd and go wherever I need to go based off of like. So we have 3. I have 3 fully fledged, thought out jokes. 2 of them I think are hilarious. Yeah. One is a little bit more dark humor, which I think is
right. You're like, which I love.
Which, by the way, is amazing. But it's not for every audience. So you gotta. That one's gonna be more.
No, if you try to get every audience, you'll have no audience.
Yeah, correct.
Right. So
anyway, that's.
Here's my free YouTube. Once again, I always bring it back. Like, you want everyone? You have no one.
So is there? So let's talk about you as we kind of slowly wrap up. I would love to talk about what you're doing now.
Yeah.
What you're looking for, if there's anyone listening to this that you actually might be able to help, that might want to reach out to you. So talk to me about the pivot from Little Dot, what you're doing there, and then like now what you're doing now.
Yeah, so first off, like the pivot from Little Dot was, as you mentioned, I felt like I got to a point where there was a ceiling. Although I will, to give them all the credit, they gave me an opportunity to maybe explore moving past that ceiling. I just feel like I was at a point where I was like, I want to go down a road that involves doing things that I want to do and researching things that I want to research and not being encumbered by the inherent what I had to do at Little Dot. Right.
Right.
So that was really where the pivot was made. So Part of that was just like I want to speak more and consult more, and that was an opportunity I was readily getting. And so there is some. 25 will be a big year. There's a lot of things lined up that I'm excited for because a lot of things in 24 are already saddled up. But 25, there's some opportunities. But what I do now is, so I was working a lot in brands. I've moved more back to creators, and what I'm consulting or strategically helping with now is obviously YouTube is my first love. I think it should be the foundation of everything else.
Yeah.
I think you can start on the other platforms, but here's the reality about Instagram. Very hard to make money on Instagram. It's just the truth. TikTok, I don't even know if you'll have it in a couple of weeks, right? So it might be there, it might get bought, whatever. But TikTok, they're also changing the way you make money there. Facebook, you can, but it is a repost slog. And if you don't know that, you're going to feel very discouraged because you literally have to just keep feeding your videos over and over and over again. Snapchat there's stuff be going on there, but you can make money, but once again, it's challenging. Yeah. So YouTube is the foundation. And so I primarily consult. I do deep audits. So that's kind of where right now the bread and butter of my business is. I will take a look. I will write you a beautifully written report on what I see, where it's going, where there's opportunities. I would recommend, like, if you're very new, I'm not very helpful to you. Just follow me on LinkedIn. That's not a call like for this, but like legitimately, like it's just free advice that someone will charge you for. Yeah. And I also very much would caution against the Twitter strategist. I've told you this outside of this podcast. A lot of strategists are lucky morons, and I mean that. And what I mean by that is they just take what everyone else says and say it a little bit differently, but they've given you no meat, right? Now, I know you might hear what I said today. You're like, everyone says that. I'm like, there's layers here that I could get into, but you'd be very
We only have an hour and a half.
Right, we only have an hour and a half. But, so if you're small, probably not me. That being said, if you're looking to use YouTube as your foundation, go multi-platform, and build a legitimate business out of it, that's where I'm going to help you thrive. That's who or the people are coming to me, where they have a product, they have merch, they have a monetizable community for Discord, and I help tether that all together in an organized way. Where we're gonna start looking at what you're doing. Where is there opportunity to build out series, repeatable efforts, repurposable efforts, and maximize that. And me and my team are going to do that for you, so you can do the main thing, which is create. Right. So that's the bread and butter right now. Pretty small at the get-go, but I also do just a lot of just general consulting, right? We can hop on a call and talk about anything, right? I would recommend coming with some notes because people tend to waste that hour talking about themselves. But yeah, that's what I do now, and I love it, and it's working, so that's why I left. And I know that's the tail end. Maybe it's boring, but
no, it's helpful, and I will vouch for your LinkedIn. If anyone's listening or watching, go find Trevor Baker on LinkedIn. He posts a lot of good videos and posts and a good conglomerate of different type of content. I watch all of it.
Thank you.
Terrible at liking things. I don't even like videos on my shorts or Instagram. I just watch and scroll. I'm terrible. I really should support creators better. But it's very good content. So LinkedIn, are you on any other platforms? Is LinkedIn kind of your main one?
Not right now.
Okay.
So I'm very much about LinkedIn's where you're going to find me. There's things coming down the pipeline, but I am in no rush to roll. There will be a website.
Yeah, you should get on X, dude.
I
know you said I know you hated the whole Twitter people. But it is.
I know.
It is. It is a.
All I can say is all of the business that I've generated, right? Yeah. So my personal business is already a 6-figure business, which is not a flex. Right. It's just the reality. It's due to LinkedIn. So once again, if you're not on LinkedIn, you should be.
But repurposing your content from your LinkedIn. I
understand.
But dude, threads are huge, man.
I'm
this stuff.
I'm not even going to play with threads.
No. Sorry. Not.
Oh, you're talking about
Instagram.
Twitter threads.
Twitter threads. When it's
I'm very against Instagram threads.
Me too, by the way. Yeah. Well, it's just it's a rebuttal against Elon. It was a personal vendetta that he wanted to think.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it was a pride move. Right. He's like, oh, I can make a Twitter. Yeah. This is we're talking about Zuckerberg, by the way. In case for that didn't know, Zuckerberg. I could do this. This is easy. Right. And then everyone downloaded it and they're like, this sucks. I'm going back to Twitter or X or whatever. Right. And then which, by the way, I do enjoy Twitter. I hate he changed the name because everyone does. Oh, yeah. Everyone does. Oh, yeah, Twitter X.
Twitter X.
It's like no one says X. And then it's like the memes. You saw the memes where it's like the guy, like the dads and the husbands on the phone. It's like the wife grabs their phone and there's like an X app.
Right.
And
it looks so.
What is this?
Right.
You know, and you're like, it's Twitter. I promise it's Twitter.
Promise it's Twitter.
It's just Twitter. Look, you hit the button. It's Twitter. There's nothing else. Right. It's like.
Now, when you go in there, you might see anything. That is the Wild West
Twitter,
at this point.
Well, they've done a better job. The nice thing about Twitter, old Twitter was like you would just be scrolling and it'd be like, yeah, I gotta get off this. I was off Twitter for like 8 years because of that.
Yeah.
Now it's just whatever is in your pipeline.
Right.
That's what shows up.
I listen. I know there's value there, and I would recommend it for the right person. I know for me, it's LinkedIn primary. What I'm excited about is when the website comes out. A lot of the research that I do, I write a lot. It's just no one sees those writings because they're personal to me. Just learning. That's where that stuff's gonna be, and it's very much in the weeds of behavior science, content that connects to that kind of research. I'm not about hacking the algorithm. I'm about understanding the way people are in their brain, right? And it does vary from millennial to baby boomer to Gen A, and the way they consume content and how that impacts the way you deliver things. So anyway, that's a free, it'll be there eventually, but I'm in no rush. It just takes time. I'm not a quick put it out there, let everyone come. I'm like, hey, it'll get there. So
we should, to wrap up, I'm like, we should have like a quarterly check-in for you to come back on the podcast and keep
I love that
talking like creator strategy and create almost like a sub layer.
Right. We did surface. There's layers in buckets.
We could talk. I have a in my brain I have so many questions that I'm like, we could have gone here, we could have gone here, we could have gone here.
We didn't even get to storytelling.
No, we didn't get to storytelling, and then I wanted to talk about Disney. I wanted to talk about Disney's fall. I want to talk about Marvel.
Spoiler. Oh, I could go.
I wanted to talk about all that stuff.
So good.
But unfortunately, the feedback that I've gotten, I don't know if this is true. Hour and a half has been like when people say, hey, if I see a 2-hour video, I'm not watching it.
Right.
So hour and a half has been okay.
Right. That's fine.
That's doable.
Doable.
But anything over an hour and a half, people are kind of like.
You definitely have to build the audience to go any further.
Yeah, like Joe's is like 4 hours.
Well, and it varies, by the way. You can tell when it's his buddies or someone fighting related, it's going to go to that.
You listen to his Save Our Parks episodes where he brings
sometimes
Shane Gillis.
There's a lot going on, and it's almost like my brain can't handle all the voices. But yeah, I mean, some of those go really long, and then some of those are those tight 2.5.
Well, you can tell the people that he's like, I can't wait to get you off the show. Right. It's like an hour and 40 minutes, and you're like,
and we're done.
Yeah, thank you for your input, but this is great. I had a blast.
This
was
fun.
Fun.
Also, I can't believe we already talked for an hour and a half. So.
Yeah, actually an hour 30 and 18 minutes. Probably about an hour 20 because we.
Oh, so I'm being.
You're being chewed out. Well, I just feel like if we open up a new can of worms, it's going to be another 3 hours.
Potentially.
Which would be amazing. Which I guess we could record for 3 hours and just clip it.
You could.
And just.
Or you can bring me back. It don't matter.
It's not like you don't live 15 minutes
I live
away.
so close.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed myself. So.
Yeah, this was great. I'm telling you, if you have a friend, if anyone's listening, this was so good for me because the whole time you were talking, I was like, idea, thought, analytic check, idea, right. and it's encouraging too because in this, and I'll tell you this, and you know this. I mean, you've created channels. It is, and I don't know if podcasts are different than a YouTube channel. But
the greatest opportunity that they're still being tapped into. I'm saying that video podcasts in person are still an untapped opportunity. You might not believe that, but there really isn't many that are doing it. What would be crazy is you figure out a way to do this or maybe do a live version of this and then make it a podcast, but you did it live. Then you have a whole other realm.
We can 100% make that happen, but I don't. Yeah, that's true.
Because live streaming, don't get me started, but
it's a control issue. That's the only reason. That's the main reason. Because I already have actually the input to my computer. I have OBS. I used to live stream video games. Fun fact.
Yeah, I know you actually
good
were decent.
Money. Yeah,
right, yeah.
I made some good money on that. Good money. I mean, comparatively for the industry.
You made money streaming video games.
Yeah.
That is
COVID was a weird year.
3%.
Yeah, I made $400.
Yeah. Live streaming is only gonna get better on YouTube.
Yeah.
Big believer in that. By the way,
had kids buying my merch for Christmas. It was awesome. I had parents reach out and be like, "Hey, they want chef merch." Chef was there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's great.
No, but anyway,
the lessons there have actually been very helpful for the lessons here. But I guess it's been helpful to talk to people because you do see a lot of podcasts that make it quickly overnight. You see a lot of podcasts that you see a lot of people that have like 10 episodes and they have 10,000 subscribers. And you're just like, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
And then you have guest cancel. You have this guest you think you're going to land and they postpone. And you have so many things that are like detracting from the energy of the podcast. And you're like, dude, this is hard. Yeah. And then you have a video that does great. Then you post 10 shorts that got 50 views. And you're like, so it can be a very discouraging, there's wins, there's a lot more losses.
Right.
And when you start.
But you learn from all of them. And like, so I know, I promise it won't take much more time.
No, you're good.
So I named my company All Grit Media, which I'm a big Lions fan, so I know everyone's like, okay, no, grit's been a core value. And there was a study, so there's a TED Talk out there. Her name escapes me, but you look up like grit, motivational, it'll probably come up. There's a study that the people who were succeed in some of the most awful conditions, education, like she looked at teachers in inner city areas, she looked at salespeople and challenging. What was it wasn't good looks, it wasn't IQ, it wasn't the home they grew up in, it was legitimately what they called grit. And grit is the perseverance and passion for long-term goals.
Yeah.
And that has stuck with me for so long because the only way now, which I'm not, like, I haven't done nothing yet, but I've worked with I've worked with Google, Nike, NBC, Warner Bros. Okay, so we have some names. I've worked with creators with millions of followers. I don't care. That's not like, ooh, look at me. I'm like, I was in a house that was full of roaches about 4 years ago. I'd vacuum them every night. I'm not even playing because it was gross.
South Carolina?
I was making, South Carolina. Dude. I was making no money, but every night I was working the freelance life. I was getting my master's. I had 4 jobs. And like, that's not like, ooh, I made it. No, I haven't done nothing yet. I was like, but grit is I have a passion for, I love it. Mm-hmm. It gives me perseverance, and I know that there's a goal in mind. I'm like, I haven't sniffed where it's going. Like, I want to speak every month. I want to consult all the time because I really believe, I love seeing people get it figured out, grow it, and then they look back and like, man, I'm just glad I stuck with it. There's nothing like, to see where we got NBC was the most rewarding thing I've ever worked with because I'm like, this is a media company that should know, and they needed help, and we did it. And it's like, look at this. AGT had their biggest bounce back year when I worked with their channel. Yeah. Right? They were down like 500 million views, and they ended the year with 1.2 billion views. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. That's not about me. It's about like, I love what I love.
Well, you love seeing other people's success.
I love success for other people. And so that's why I named the company All Grit Media, because like, that's been me. It is the truth of how people succeed is it's not just about grinding. You think about the kettlebells. I worked 18 hours a day. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Listen here. All right. That's not really what's happening. What it is, though, is I love it. I'm going to persevere, and I see where I'm going. Yeah. I see it, and I know everything's part of the puzzle. And then even when you get a little bit of an incremental, like things are a little bit better now, I still tell myself, you haven't done nothing yet. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
It's not about like, look at me, bro. It's awesome. It's like, no, it's like, I just want to keep going. I want to learn. I want to grow. Yeah. And take care of the family. That's the 2 things. Yeah. Grow, take care of the family. Done. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. You're the same way.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. And I think the vision for the podcast, when people ask me all the time, they're like, hey, what do you want to do with this? And it's like, well, if I told you, you'd laugh at me. If I actually told you my vision, you'd laugh at me. Yeah, and like, well, maybe not you, but I tell that to them. Yes. Because everyone says, oh, I just want to make it big. I'm going to make a big YouTube channel. I want to make lots of money. By the way. Yeah, they don't. And I say, I want to interview the top people in the industry. Yeah. Whatever industry we're talking about. Yes. I want to interview the top people, and whatever that looks like monetarily, like I want this to be my job. Yeah. Now that the only way that's going to happen is by interviewing people that are top of the industry. Right. So those are aligned goals. Yes. And people are always like, yeah, okay, you sell insurance, like, cool. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, like I really think that the feedback that I've gotten is very positive. Right. I enjoy it. Yeah. I think that God gave me a lot of abilities to do something like this. Right. And then it's like Lions in Michigan. It's like, why not us?
Why not us?
Why not us?
For real.
And so, right. And so then it's like, let's make it happen. And my wife has been such supportive. And the beautiful thing is, like, I already had, this is why I think this is going to work out, Trevor.
I love it.
I had everything to do this for a while I was really into music. I was writing music, creating music. I already had the mics.
Are you like a singer?
I would let other people sing. I would do the production behind it. I like making music. I like doing spoken word. I like doing a little bit of hip hop.
You just are a talented individual.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No,
I love YouTube and data. That's like I have nothing
so for
else
a while,
about me.
I have about like 50 songs I've written for myself, and like so I was into music for a while, and so I had already had the mics, and then I got into streaming. So then I got into analytics and YouTube and figuring out that kind of stuff. And then I created a mini finance channel, so I figured out how to look on camera, how to make cuts.
Didn't you do like whole life and term?
Yeah, and I did whole life and term. I used to do pros and cons of 100% commission. I would do credit card videos. Yeah, you know, and then
those look good.
Yeah, thank you.
I remember those.
Yeah, and so then I was just like, so the journey to get to podcast, you know, I've all these different things. Were like, wait a second, this, and then I do sales for a living. I talk to people for a living. I hold conversations, right?
Like we didn't prep any of this.
No,
and it's
none
like,
of it.
I've not had any trouble.
Like this week, I talked to 6 business owners one-on-one, trying to get them, you know, Affleck in there. And so like all these different things, I'm like, I feel like they've all prepped me to create a podcast that doesn't suck. And so now it might suck now, and we're getting there. But I think even I watched the original podcast the other day that I started, my very first one, and just the growth of the host.
That's crazy because you haven't been doing that long. But you're like, look how much better it is.
And I've only been doing 2 episodes a month.
Right. And I try not to say Mr. Beast too much because that's what every YouTube guy does. But like he is a good example of like he's like, it did suck and now it doesn't. Because you are getting better. And you only get better by doing it. But for example, it's not always your first idea, by the way. But the reps lead you to where you might go.
Right.
And listen, we just talked about your variety show. We might look back and you're like, and that was the best play. People love my dad jokes. Right. Maybe that's what it is.
I do think that they're going to get more than 5 views. So that's good.
Right.
Like, I think it'll be
right.
good. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Who knows?
I don't know. I get excited because, all it is, what is this? The circular story, as my daughter would say.
Cool.
To bring back.
Yeah, we're doing it. This is the climax.
It's the climax. It's consistency that's actually valuable.
There
right?
you go.
That's it.
There you go.
And you keep showing up, and that's actually why I even messaged you because I was like, he's still doing it. How many people are like, I started a new YouTube channel a month later, they're gone. You're like, I'm still doing it. And guess what? It's 600 subscribers, but everyone will start hitting you up. Yeah. Watch. Everyone will start talking to you when it's 5,000 subscribers. You're like, oh, shoot, that's awesome, man. Like, where were you when I started?
Right.
You only cared when I got successful. You didn't see all the work behind. So
you see that with athletes, and you see that with musicians, and you see that all the time. Right. And one of my favorite artists has a line in with music that he says, people think that the first song that you make it, like the first thing that makes it viral was like your first song you've ever made. And they don't know that you've been grinding for the past 15 years before anyone makes it.
Right.
And
so, I vacuumed roaches 4 years ago. I haven't done nothing yet. But like I just tell people, like, you just think, oh, Warner Brothers, that's
it's
cool.
when, not if. No. I'll leave you with this.
Yeah,
I was with a bunch of entrepreneurs. I'm blessed where I have a couple mentors in my life that have just looked at me and said, same thing. You haven't done anything yet, but we believe you can.
Right.
And that's in sales, and that's, and that kind of thing. They're like, and I've had an entrepreneur. He gave me probably worth $30,000 worth of advice because he implements entrepreneur operating systems, and he's like, I'm gonna do this for free for you because I believe in you. Yeah. And so anyway, he invited me into a group of entrepreneurs that kind of meet together and we kind of hang out, and they were asking me. So these are all millionaires. Yeah. These are all people. I'm like making 40K, and just like I'm the peasant in the and they asked me how things were going, and I was like, well, if I make it, and I kid you not, the whole room said no when you make it.
Love it.
The whole room. They stopped me. They're like, Dillon, stop right there. We already know your problem. Right. It's when you make it, and they're like, your mindset's off. Because like in my business, and we can get, this is not this podcast for this, but like COVID destroyed any confidence I had in making business and like making the business work to what I thought I could make it.
Right.
And so I started this career being like, when I make this is going to be great. God called me to do this. I'm going to kill it. Then COVID happened. We lost everything we built. We had to start from square one. I had less money in my bank account 3 years into the business than I had when I started.
Right.
So it was just a confidence shaker. And so then it was like when we're talking with my wife and we're like, hey, if this happens, when 3 years ago was when this happens.
Right.
And it took and this was last week, by the way. This was last Thursday this happened. I had a bunch of millionaires look at me. They're driving their Range Rovers. They're driving their Volvos. Right. And keep in mind, they failed a lot.
You have to.
And they were talking about how, and a couple of them were like, they failed a lot, and it was really encouraging hearing all these entrepreneurs talk about like when I was younger, I failed 4 companies before I built my first one. And so anyway, I think mindset. What you were saying is mindset. Mindset really matters when it comes to YouTube, and why not us is what I always keep thinking to myself. And so anyway, when it comes to the podcast, I'm like, hey, it's when this thing blows up, not if. And people look at me weird, and I'm like, no, I mean, seriously, when this thing blows, I'm gonna A, say, told you so.
Told you so.
B, the only reason I believe that is consistency, and I believe in the advice that I've been getting. I believe in the guests that I've been having. I believe in the conversations we've been having. And I know that if I leave feeling encouraged, excited, helped, there's at least a couple people out there that are going to feel the same.
Right.
And then that's just going to scale.
It will. It will. I don't have anything to add. That was beautiful.
Was that a good?
No, because I mean that's it, right? Like it's passion, perseverance for the long-term goal. That's what it is. Grit, baby.
And I know that you're going to do the same thing with your company. I know. I'm excited for you, dude. I am thrilled that you made the leap.
Fun leap.
Entrepreneurial leap is a scary thing.
Scary.
That is so worth it if done right. Right. And I'm very thrilled for you and your family. It's going to be great. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you haven't yet, check out Trevor on LinkedIn. Also, buy our coffee. In just a few months, over 250 bags sold, which that's not bad.
It's really good.
And it's very good coffee. It's really low acid, and it is very competitively priced. If that you live local to Detroit, you can save on shipping by following me on Facebook, sending me a message, and you can meet me here at our local office to save on shipping. That saves you $10 per order, by the way. So that is 100% worth it. Definitely anyway, worth it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Trevor.
No problem.
We'll see you guys in the next episode.